Good afternoon, everyone. You probably are aware, I've got a little different background than I'm usually used to. I'm at my mom's place at her house down in a little cottage country. So trying to have a little bit of a vacation, but also enjoying to still keep the channel going and have these lovely gentlemen on for a little chat. As you may have heard earlier in the week, I did a little video on Mineopoly, just going through some of the details, some of the things I like about the project, but definitely wanted to get an opportunity to bring them on the channel, which we have them here to go through in a little more in-depth the systems and what they're doing, how they're different than what's already on the market, how they're being more realistic to make sure that there's no well, we've seen a lot of things where it's like shoot for the moon and then all of a sudden they had to backpedal quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to going through how they're doing it differently to avoid that kind of backpedaling, and hopefully actually present and pay out what you expect from the start, as opposed to double checking everything and redoing everything as we go. So looking very forward to chatting with them. If you guys can, of course, hit that like button down below and hit subscribe, specifically though the like button. That'll help get more people to this information, so we can help them out to get the attention they deserve. So obviously, if you guys have questions, please do put them down and we will go through them as we go. But thanks so much for joining me, guys, and a little shout out to Warren and then to Aaron as well. So thanks so much, guys. And I guess to start off with, you guys just want to do some quick introductions of who you are and what you're bringing to the table, and then we'll go over kind of a 40-foot view of what you're trying to do with Mineopoly. Whoever wants to start.
Sure. I guess I'll take the lead here. Thanks for having us on, Justin. My name is Ethan Zerka. I'm the CEO of A6Z. We're a Cincinnati company based here in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where I currently am. I'm also a partner with Sakib, or Sakib this way, in our sister office in Dubai, which is A6Z East. And it is the UAE where our mining operations are going on. And then, yeah, I'll just pass things over to Sakib.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for having us on, Justin. I am the CSO of A6Z and co-founder with Ethan. And I'm also a co-founder of A6Z East, which is our sister company in Dubai. And I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. And off to my other Justin.
Yeah. Yes, I'll round it out. Justin Kramer. I work for A6Z East. I've been there for about 6 months now. Before then, I was the CEO of Badgerland Home Crypto Miners. I had my own business where I was retailing miners as well. So just kind of evolving as we go here.
Nice. So welcome, guys. And obviously, just from quick rundown there, and we'll get to know more about your expertise in a little bit here, but obviously some previous and existing mining knowledge and of doing it as well as selling it, like all the gamuts of the mining era space, which is great to see. So we'll get into more details on that as we go. And then I guess if we can just go through kind of an overarching 40-foot view of what you guys are doing with this project and what the basis of the project is. I'll pull up the website, or unless you want the white paper, we can do that too.
Sure.
To show everybody that. Nice. And if you want to, whoever wants to go ahead with that talk.
Well, I think the first thing to note right off the bat is that both Sakib and I have been mining. We both started off with our little micro farms, being home miners in 2016. And we've just had nothing but a love and a passion for the industry from that time on. And naturally, when we met, when did we meet? 2019, 2018, Sakib?
2018.
2018, when we met, naturally our passion and our love of the industry aligned. And we were working with a gentleman named Scott Offord. I was a business partner with him. And we were helping him do institutional level sales and brokering deals. One of the things that's not well known in the mining industry is the machines. You can't run them forever. So you've got this, basically you're converting electricity into a reward, and you're using that reward as an asset to then pay the cost of electricity. And as time goes by, bigger and bigger improvements happen in the efficiency. And a good example is if we look at the S9s, they were yielding 1 terahash for about 100 watts of power. And now the latest state of the art, and probably shouldn't be saying this, but under 20 watts a terahash is what I'm being told is the newest generation of gear. And if we look at the time differential in that happened, that changed from 5 times more efficient per terahash, it happened in a relatively short period of time, just 5 years. And this is something that we don't even really see with Moore's law and regular electronics and computers. It says every 18 months the technology doubles, but the way crypto technology is developing, it's developing at an even faster pace. And so, these mining farms, they can buy tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of machines. And when they're at the end of their life cycle, they have to do something with them. They can't just throw them in a scrap heap. And so we built our kind of reputations in the industry by being able to deal with these large institutional clients and getting their old gear, selling it to our network of buyers, and also facilitating the purchase of buying new gear. So in a situation where, let's say, you're just one mining operation, you're just one farm, you wouldn't have the advantage or the ability to get the bulk rate discounts that you could get if you went through us, like a broker who deals with 10 or 20 of those farms and then can, get that bulk rate, that discount. So everybody wins. So we've been in this industry for quite some time, and we didn't decide to start this project to create a mining NFT by just doing some simple, paper math calculations and saying, oh, if we buy a bunch of these miners, they'll be super profitable and we can create a community. We actually did it out of the reverse situation. So we went from mining to the beginning of the bear market to investing in NFT projects. And I'm going to say the name of this project because I think at this point in time, it's pretty much a dead horse. But we invested heavily in Horde, and we were one of the top 20 wallets. I think we're still one of the top 20 wallets in terms of holders of that project. And what we wanted to invest in was a liquidity manager that then worked in tandem with a game that was going to generate revenue streams. And we saw that as a very, positive DeFi project, because we think DeFi projects should be kind of very oriented in reality. But in reality, what happened is the game's out the window, the liquidity manager's out the window, and guess what they're doing now to pay everybody back? They're mining. Yes. And so I proposed the questions, and we had gotten to know the team behind Horde. We asked them personally. And they knew about our business because we were a large investor, we were a large contributor. And I had asked them point blank, why weren't we consulted? I mean, this is our area of expertise. We could have really helped you out. And instead, they went with somebody who has no name, has no reputation in the industry. They bought the wrong miners, in my opinion. Nobody knows the future, but we do know this industry quite well. And now it's just basically a dead project. And then they proceeded to block me after me asking the hard questions. But we're here because we're seeing so many misrepresentations of our industry, and we feel it's important to take it upon ourselves to represent the mining industry right. Mining is not a simple game. It's not an easy game. And experience really does make a huge difference in your abilities to succeed in it or to fail in it. Did I leave anything out, Sakib?
Yeah, I think you covered almost everything. The other thing I would mention is, the experience of being through multiple market cycles and knowing, when to time your purchase of miners, how important the power cost is to the sustainability of an operation. We've seen, so many different miners in so many different situations over the years. We have, I believe, a really good experience that we can bring to to the community, and this is what we really wanted to do. Instead of people that haven't done this before, we wanted to bring to the industry experience and leadership, in this industry.
Cool. Okay, so just a couple of things there just to take from that and just kind of wrap it all up. Basic idea is you guys have had experience with mining over multiple cycles, not just the last bear and beyond, which obviously gives a lot more insight as to the ups and downs and the full cycle of mining as a whole, which there really is one. There's a definite start and an end to the process, which is something I definitely want to focus on in this talk, because you guys, I think, are trying to do that right and actually use that to your advantage and create something that does have an end-to-end process to it, which is awesome.
You have to. You have to.
Which I don't think anybody's done. Yeah. Oh, here comes the rain. Hopefully I don't lose power, but because it's kind of, again, country land. So just carry on talking until I get back in. So the thing is, you guys are basically looking to create an NFT project, and we'll go through the details of how that is processed in a second. You will then use those funds to create a mining operation, or is there some of that already started?
It's already in the works. Okay. Yeah,
nice.
we were miners long before we even dreamed of this idea. So the idea that you're coming on board with a team of people that are going to have to figure it out, it's already figured out. It's going to happen with or without, but just out of our frustration with the NFT industry, we wanted to show how it can be done right. And I'm not saying that my way is the only way to do it, but my way does work. It is a tried and true proven way that works. And we have been here for many years.
And it's not only experience just in general, it's experience building the exact building that we're about to build. So that's the biggest thing, is there's always going to be surprises and things that come up. But I mean, if you've done it before, you kind of,
it's a lot easier to replicate.
Yeah, you've been through the ropes. So
yeah. Awesome. Okay. So the issue, so the good thing is now is you guys have already created these. Basically, you're just now using it as an opportunity to actually help investors thrive in this environment using your expertise that you've already done. And the great thing there is I'd like to dabble in miners, but I know it's not. The problem is the to actually make money at it is very difficult. And I'd love to learn the technology. I love playing around with it and all that jazz, but it wouldn't necessarily be as big a money making opportunity for me. So I lean on projects like this, which is not gone as well as I'd like, for the reasons that we're talking about. But I like to lean on this expertise and take advantage of that to earn myself my Bitcoin as if I was mining it, but without the risk of me paying way higher electricity costs, having to manage those miners that I have limited expertise. But yes, I can Google, and yes, there's value in some of that, but the heat loss and the heat disbursement and all that other stuff, there's a lot of balls rather than just knowing how to use a computer like it used to be, and just mining from your PC. So I appreciate projects that are taking advantage of their expertise and allowing us to benefit from it, which is awesome. But at the same token, all of these projects in the past have tried to build it from the ground up, like we were just saying. So I appreciate the fact that you guys actually have already done this, already gone start to finish with it, and now are using that expertise then and offer it to us. So you're saying this is happening no matter what. You guys already have income you've generated for yourselves with your other miners.
Absolutely.
So theoretically, you could just carry on, like you said, on your own and do this anyways. That's also, I think, a big win for you guys, and I think something people need to realize. Anything else to add on that quick little wrap up that I did?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of grazed over some of the technical difficulties that are associated with mining. And I just can't stress how important it is to really have real world experience and understand those challenges, right? So, fundamentally, you've got a couple of things that you need to consider. You need to consider the politics of where you are in the world. We've seen China do a mass exodus a couple of years ago, and they got all the miners got kicked out of China. We've seen Kazakhstan do some kind of shady things where the government has seized the machines. We've seen some things happen in many other countries. Even here in the United States, we've seen taxes and kind of penalties and things like that being assessed onto the mining industry. Even in Paraguay, which was once a really popular spot, even it's kind of crumbling apart and it's not so attractive. So it's very important to understand those politics and to have the experience, the wisdom, and the due diligence to set up operations in a place where nothing is 100% for certain, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but with reasonable certainty that it's going to be a stable and friendly environment for you to build your farms in. And then the next challenge, so even if you find the right politics, then you've got to find the right power. right? And we've got some of the lowest power costs on Earth. And this isn't, dirty power. It's not coal or anything like that. This is a combination of grid and solar. One of the largest solar farms in the world is very close to where we're doing our farming activities, and it's already ROI, meaning that the solar panels have already paid for themselves. So any money that's received by the government is basically pure profit. I mean, other than just the maintenance cost of cleaning it off and wiping away the dust and things like that. But it's very marginal, and so this gives us access to relatively green, very, very cheap and very reliable power. And you've got to take those things into consideration. And once you've got all those things lined up just right, then you've got to actually build the infrastructure and distribute the power, and then you've got to do software management solutions to look over your machines to make sure they're functioning optimally, and all those things. I mean, there's a million details that I could go into. I won't do that, but you're absolutely right. It's so important to have the experience in the industry to know what to do, and also to be prepared for the worst, which is another thing that I don't think other projects are doing.
No, agreed. And not only that, I guess along those same lines or those same veins or whatever, is the fact that if you are doing all these things and the research and all this stuff, realistically speaking, even compared to myself running the equivalent of what I buy in NFTs in my own miners, because I don't have control over my power or where I am and all that jazz, I technically could make more money, in my opinion, based on using a project like yours to earn from, even after paying you guys, because you guys get to earn too and should be earning, even after paying your fees, because your electricity is so low. There's a margin of error that's so much larger for you guys because of that extra kind of leniency you have, I guess, if you will. Does that make sense?
Oh, it completely does. And you got to understand the nature of our business is not to find out what mining is. The nature of our business is to mine and to broker sales across our networks of buyers and sellers of gear. And as a business of mining, it is about profit. We know what it takes to make profit, and we know how to generate and yield the maximum returns, whether it be working with aftermarket firmwares that we can put in the machine. I mean, we know the developers directly. We can, we're at a level where we can make special requests, things like that, to working with the pool owners and operators. We're very close friends with many pool owners and operators, and we can make deals with them to sell our hash at a premium. So, it's knowing these details. I kind of think of it, back in the day, I was a rice burner Honda tuner. I had a Honda SI, and you change your oil and you get 1 extra horsepower. You change your air filter and you get an extra 10 horsepower. You do these little tweaks and little that, and it adds up to 30, 40, 50. We know how to do all those things in the mining industry, and that is so important to getting that return and to getting that optimal yield. And beyond that, we also understand that there's a life cycle to the machines, that you've got to know when to cut bait, get rid of those machines, get newer machines in place that are more efficient to keep that yield at its optimal. And we understand this.
Nice. And I do want to maybe go to here for a quick second just to go through that and really drive home what sorry. Here. So I just want to pull up your one part of your white paper. I don't want to go crazy into that stuff, because we did go, I did do a video a little bit on a little walkthrough and how to mint and all that jazz. We can kind of hint on it, but the big thing I think for you guys, which I think is something that I haven't seen in this space, is your life cycle. So do you want to talk through this at all with your beginning and end, and really kind of bring that home?
Sure. So, to kind of touch on your point, Sakib and I have been talking about this for years, that we feel like the home miner has been displaced. Like it used to be back in the day, you could spend a couple $1,000. I mean, when S19s were new, they were like, $1,600, $1,700, and then you had to get a power supply. And you could set this up in your basement. So, we'll just say for $1,000, you could be mining in your basement. And those, the ability to interact and engage with the industry at that level is pretty much all but gone at this point. And so you're absolutely right. We're using our institutional level knowledge to set up a system where you can now buy back in for a reasonable price. and you can get a reasonable return. And it's not just going to be you and, you know, fending for yourself in your basement with your wife screaming at you, shut the thing off, it's so loud, I can't hear myself think. It's going to be run by professionals who are going to, you know, make sure that everybody's interests are looked after. But yeah, let's go through the lifestyle. It starts off with minting an NFT. And before you mint an NFT, you actually have to get a membership. And we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, because we don't want to pull out of the yield of the project to pay for things like building our technology stack for the dashboard so users can go in and see their hash rate and collect their payouts and things like that. But also we want to make sure that we have sustainable other technologies and other solutions that we're doing in the industry. And we want to make sure that that's not pulled out of the project itself. We want to make sure that everybody who has a mining NFT, everything that is being yielded out of that, every reward is going to be able to go directly to the holders of the NFTs. It's not going to be, you know, going to cover this cost or that cost or things that are outside of the scope of the project. So it starts with the membership, and then you go in, you mint your mining NFT, and you can mint as many as you want with your membership. There's no limit. From there, we then go to the next step, which is what we do in our day-to-day business, which is miner procurement. We go and we look at the market. We negotiate with our vendors. We negotiate with our distributors. We find the best prices on the market, and we purchase the machines. And after, in the interim, while we're doing this purchase for the machines, we'll actually be building out the facility, and we'll be showing video and step-by-step of our build-outs. We got examples of our build-outs that we can show here today in this AMA. But it'll be a similar process, and hopefully we can make the community feel like they're actually, you know, learning what professional mining really is all about. And we're happy to share that. But after the miners are procured, we install them in the facility and we run them. And as we run them, we optimize them and we ensure that we're getting the highest yield possible, and we collect the rewards. And the rewards will then go into the dashboard, and then users can, you know, take them as payouts. I don't think we're going to do daily payouts. I think we agreed to keep like weekly is what we're shooting for. But all in the while we're doing this and we're looking at our maximum yield and our maximum rewards, we're going to be evaluating the market. We're going to be looking for the next bull run. And I don't think we've got this to where we can share it. But if you look historically, what will happen is traditionally Bitcoin will go up until the halvening. And then immediately after the halvening, it'll do a big dip. And this is the dip that usually kills everybody from the previous cycle, because they're now getting half the rewards and their power cost is way too expensive, and they all have to go, you know, belly up. This is not the time to sell. The time to sell is right after that correction. Well, not right after that correction, but after that correction, immediately we start to get the beginning of the next bull run. And so that's when we'll be looking into the market in the next bull run. And be looking to, you know, optimize our exit strategy and re-entry strategy. So that's another thing that's unique about this project. Everybody else is promising, you know, basically a yield into infinity, which we know is not possible at all. You know, you buy in this project, you're going to get X machine, you're going to get X yield, and everybody's going to moon and like there's no thought beyond that process. We know that there's a lot more thought that goes in beyond that process. And we understand that the real value of what we're offering is the power itself, because the power is so cheap. It needs to constantly be married to the most efficient machines to get the maximum yield. That is the business model. That is, in essence, how mining makes money. So we'll be evaluating the market. In the first 2 years, the community will have the vote. After 2 years, just because we have experience through many bull and bear cycles, that's when we're going to say, okay, we're going to take over. And sometimes it's kind of hard to, you know, like people want to hold out. They're like, no, you know, Bitcoin's going to go up just a little bit more. We shouldn't sell now. So we'll just have to make that executive decision if it comes to it. But hopefully within that 2 years, we can get a consensus with the community. We can exit out at a profit. And as you mentioned earlier in your video, these machines can multiply in value. You know, we saw machines in the last bull run that we bought for $20 on Monday, and we were able to sell for $120 on Friday.
Right.
Yeah, so that's to give you an idea of the process. Now, what's really interesting is that, once that cycle happens and the liquidation happens, everybody gets their payouts. They then have an opportunity to mint into the next the next build out. So we're going to update the machines, and the critical component here is just like having a car. And I think I kind of use that analogy in the white paper is, if you get out of the car at the right time, you can roll your equity over into the next car, and you keep rolling that equity. If you do it for 5 or 6, 7, 8 times, you actually end up in a situation where you have enough equity where you can just buy a new car outright. And fundamentally, that's actually what I do is, instead of buying one car and paying for it for 5 years, I'll buy one car, pay for it for 2.5 years, roll the equity into the next car, pay for it for 2.5 years, and so on. And by the third cycle, usually I'll have enough equity where I won't be able to buy a Mercedes Benz, but I'll definitely be able to buy, a brand new Hyundai Accent or whatever, a reasonably priced car with 5 years warranty. And if you look at the comparison of what you have, at the end of 6 years, I've got a brand new car with 5 years of warranty ahead. And if you look at the other car, you've got a car that's 5 years old or 6 years old and doesn't have any warranty. And so we're kind of have to use that similar strategy in the mining industry. Is you have to know the valuation of the machines and how much they're depreciating, and know when to exit or when your optimal exit point is, and then recirculate that money into new generation machines.
Okay. And I just want to jump in there because I don't think I explained it very well in my video either, actually, because I probably didn't research enough myself. So I apologize. Vacation does that to you. So what you're saying here is you guys are going through this whole process, and like the infinity symbol you have here, you are able to repeat it, but I'm assuming us as members will have to inject new funds for the second round of this. We're buying new NFTs for it. They kind of get closed off and a new set gets started. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at it, let's just say a hypothetical that you do a 1x ROI. So, by the end of the project, 2 years later, you now have accumulated, was it $840 or $840 plus, let's say, right? So at the end of the project, you would then get the new mint at a slight discount. But yeah, you would reinvigorate that money. And so now you're playing with your investment instead of your initial capital.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool. No, that's neat. I like that.
So by the time you get to the third or fourth cycle, you can start generating phenomenal amounts of capital. You can get to a situation where, in the second or third round, you're not buying just one NFT, you're buying 10 or 20. So you're exponentially growing.
But the earnings, I guess, would be less because we're getting towards another halving at that point, potentially. I guess, but that's stuff.
Well,
that's down the road.
That's where the efficiency comes in,
okay.
Right? So that's why it's vital that you keep recycling into more and more efficient miners so you can maintain those earnings.
Nice. Yeah, no, that makes sense. There was a question that was asked. I'll maybe jump to that for a moment before we head back into some more stuff. And maybe if you did want me to pull up those videos and stuff, we can do that and talk through them. But Marcelo was just asking if you're allowing hosting. There was some answers in the chat already, but I thought maybe you guys want to explain more as to why or why not. And it sounds like you're not providing hosting for people to host on your site.
So yeah, actually we do offer mining as a service. However, all of that infrastructure that we're able to offer at the moment it's been completely allocated. It was soaked up
nice.
within about 2 weeks of us offering it. We hopefully will want to expand back into that, but at this point, what we want to do is control the controllables. Okay. And what I mean by that is hosting can get you in a situation where you have to manage many, many different machines. You've got some Bitmain machines over here. You've got some WhatsMiner machines over here. You've got somebody's ancient S9s because you got cheap power. And so now they're profitable again. And so you've got this just smorgasbord of Frankenstein machines to manage, repair, and things like that. And so we know that would make our lives very difficult. That would be very labor intensive. So we're very kind of exclusive or picky with who we're allowing to host with us. As a matter of fact, we had some very strict terms and conditions, and we went to our institutional level clients and of course, they're all on board because they've known us for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the simple answer to your question is mining is a very complex industry, and hosting can make it even more complex. And we want to actually streamline things and make it easier for everyone rather than more difficult.
Nice. Okay, and that makes sense, and I agree to that. Again, like I never really even thought about the whole smorgasbord idea of it, but that makes sense too if people are choosing. I mean, you could technically just give them a menu and say, "Here's your options," but even that has its own complexities down the road. And this way, it helps you kind of focus it and really like you were saying earlier, you can then maximize people's profits as opposed to
absolutely
having them run their own. So I like it. Okay, and JJ was asking, and I obviously by my previous video, you guys are live. I got the lucky first. I didn't realize that was cool. So when can we purchase the miners, and what the rewards are expected? I think there was something is it the white paper the best spot to go for that, because you have some?
Yeah. Just a quick verbal answer to that. The miners will be purchased at the close of tranche 1. So I think there's 2250, there's 2,250 NFTs being offered in tranche 1. Immediately when it closes, we will make that purchase and we'll make it live with the community. And the yield, and that's what's really important, is we're not promising you a dollar value. What we're promising you is a terahash result. All right. And we have the highest terahash result of any other project that's out there. We're promising 15 terahash. Yeah, I think it says it in the white paper. But yeah,
it's right there. I think it's right.
It's right there, right?
It's 15 terahash that's yielding at 420 watts of power. All right. And that is, if you look at anybody else's, price per terahash, if you look at how many terahash they're promising in terms of yield and what their power usage, nobody's touching that. We've got everybody beat by at least 20 or 30%. And honestly, guys, from our experience, this is realistic, meaning that anybody promising anything above and beyond this, it's not possible. At least my brain can't figure out a way to make it possible. So we wanted to give the maximum yield of any other project out there. And also our payout is higher than anybody else. So you may look at these other projects and, maybe they're giving you 12 terahash, 13 terahash, maybe even 14 terahash yield. But, you look at how they split up the payouts, like you're only getting 30% of that. And in our case, you're getting 75%. And again, the whole idea was is we wanted to show how these projects could be done right in a true and sustainable way using our years of true mining experience, instead of kind of the other way around where people are on the outside trying to figure it out or just guessing or just using paper math. We're not doing that. We're starting with the fundamentals and then building off of that.
One thing I wanted to add to that, I think that's really important, is miner procurement. We have calculators that we've made, in our own industry for ASIC-Z, and those calculators allow us to find the miner that is most efficient, and that's the miner that we have selected that is most efficient and also suitable for the environment that it's going to be mining in. So that way we have the least downtime and the most efficiency.
Well, it's not only that. So if you pick the most, let's just take that simple example, because here's the big mistake that everybody makes in this industry. Look for the most efficient miner that yields the highest price, okay? In Bitcoin currently, that's the S19 XP. We would never touch an S19 XP with a 10-foot pole. Why? Why, Sakib?
Well, obviously because XPs have issues that we already know of in the industry. They have rebooting issues and things like that. And also because of the initial cost, in order to get into the XP, the ROI is going to be a lot longer for you than it is if we go for an M50.
Okay, it goes way beyond that. All right. So one, the value isn't there, right? The purchase value isn't there. But number two is the machines have a lot of faults in them, meaning they're not stable. They don't run stably. And so you do all this paper math and you say, okay, I'm going to buy 100 of these or 1,000 of these, but only 50% or 60% work. You didn't factor that in at all. So you've just screwed yourself there. We're not going to touch those machines. Another reason why we won't touch XPs is because they don't have individual addressable hash boards with the control board. It's controlled by a single unit, meaning that if one hash board, even if one chip on one hash board goes offline, the entire machine stops hashing. Traditionally in our industry, and again, you only know this stuff from experience. Traditionally in our industry, you can have a hash board go down. We've even swapped hash boards out of machines while they're running live. But the remaining hash boards will still continue to operate. The XPs don't do that. So in terms of their value for the money, in terms of their reliability and build quality, and in terms of their uptime ability, they're just not a good buy. It's not a smart buy. We're not going to get ourselves trapped in that. But we do know machines that are like bulletproof tanks that will run very well in a variety of environments and have very, very little reported failure rate in our industry, and are still extremely efficient and a very good buy for the money. And those are really, again, the experience gives you the knowledge of what you really need to make that right buying decision. It's not just simply going to a calculator and saying, oh, the XP is going to, do me 141 terahash. That's the one I'm going to go with. Well, that's a big mistake. That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, no, perfect. And that's great. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's important is anything above a 6 cents power cost is going to be unprofitable after the halvening. And I don't think many projects are really thinking about the halvening. So that's why we've chosen, the power cost that we have. We know that we're going to be sustainable. Even if Bitcoin goes below 10K, we should still be okay.
$6,000.
Yeah,
that is our
kind
floor.
of break even. Nice. That's crazy. Yeah. That's good. And yeah, that's one thing I find a lot of them always just sort of hope for the moonshot of the token and kind of lean on that way more than they should to try and make that their raison d'etre, I guess, if you will, or whatever. But
so I was going to say too, like the other thing too is we're mining Bitcoin. Like crypto's crypto, but it's the most stable and predictable of all the crypto that you can mine. A lot of other projects, like you just said, go for the high flyers, trying to catch lightning in a bottle on one or two of them. But it goes the other way. If everything crashes, those are going to crash harder than Bitcoin. So, I mean,
yeah. Awesome. So did you guys want to go through either of these videos then, I guess, for a second?
Yeah, go ahead and roll it up, Justin.
Which one did you want? The mine or the from?
Just do the first one. Yeah.
Temperature difference.
Yeah, let's do the temp. Well, okay. Which it doesn't matter. They're both good videos.
All right. We'll just see how we look here. I did turn the volume off for everybody, so I'll let you guys talk through what's happening here.
Okay, Saqib, since I believe this is your video, I'll let you narrate and I'll narrate the other one.
So this is one of the mining farms that we currently have.
Is that May 23rd, I believe, was on your watch?
May 23rd, and these are exhausts that we have going on. This is about half a kilowatt farm, and I'm showing the temperature here.
Don't you mean half megawatt?
Half
a
megawatt,
kilowatt. Yeah. Okay, I was about to say half kilowatt is like nothing. That's my microwave.
I apologize. Well, you can see the ambient temperature is 54 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
And if we go inside, with
now Celsius, that's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I believe it might be a little bit more, but yeah, just about. And if we go inside, and I will do another temperature check, and these are our power connections and everything. We
distribution panels, yeah.
Distribution panels, and here is
now what's this thing? Can we pause this, Justin?
Yep.
Yeah.
If I get over there.
Is that where the homeless people sleep? In that cardboard?
Water cooling curtain, and it's double filtered, so that way the miners are protected from any type of humidity changes in the environment, because humidity is, believe it or not, it's worse than higher temperatures for your miners, because if you have humidity on your hash boards, you have the chance of short circuiting your hash boards. And
condensation, and also you get heat soak.
Yes, exactly.
Where you cannot evacuate the heat as efficiently. Right. So go ahead and continue to play, Justin.
Sure. I'll just go after here. So obviously the temperature is quite a bit lower.
Wow. Wow. Literally half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out, we see a lot of people say immersion or hydrocooling. And I think they're both great solutions, but you've got to understand that there's also a power cost in that. You've got to pay for pumps and additional fans and things like that. This water curtain solution, you don't have to, I mean, it's got like a little tiny fish pump, but that's it. Like it doesn't use a tremendous amount of power to create this additional cooling that we need. And that's one of the great things about it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you were in immersion, you would have to, when you go to sell your miners,
Well, then you got to clean all that dielectric fluid off, and that stuff is impossible to get rid of. It's nasty. And when you go to sell it to, an aftermarket buyer, immediately it's going to collect dust in the air, and then they're going to start complaining. Their machines are going to start breaking. It's awful. I mean, I only recommend immersion solutions for very, very, very specific clients. I would not recommend it as a general solution because it paints you into a corner later on in the market when you have to, change the cycle. All right, let's go to this other video. This is Saqib, as you guys can see. And yeah, this is one of our facilities here, also with the water curtain. Again, it's tested, tried and true. I didn't believe it myself until I saw it, guys. It's a double cooling chamber, and if you go into the middle area of the cooling chamber, it's so cold in there, like I couldn't stand it. I had to go back outside. Yeah, it was like freezing. But this is what you can expect. So after miner procurement, we're going to build another facility like this. We can build them pretty quickly. We've got the plans. Everything's already approved. This is the transformer. It's also important to note that we're licensed in the area to do this, and we do work in tandem with the power company and electrical contractors. And there's my car. This little doorway here, you can kind of see it just after the water cooler area, the water curtain area. That's the cold chamber that I was talking about. And everything is automated as well. So we can detect the ambient temperature in the air and the inside here. Don't walk into one of these things unless you want to get ice cold. But as you can see, like it doesn't really require any moving parts. It doesn't really require anything special. You've just got that little drain pipe there that pulls from the well reservoir and distributes it. And as the air is drawn across the curtain, it dramatically cools the temperature. And again, like I said, it's all automated. We've got sensors that detect the relative humidity and the relative temperature and just automatically adjust, how much water is going in and going out based upon all that. So it's very efficient and hands-free. And again, this comes with experience. You only learn this. You can't know this in advance going into it. You only get this from experience.
Exactly.
Nice. No, thank you for that. That's awesome.
Sure.
If anybody has any questions, now's kind of the time. We won't go too much longer. I think we've gotten most of the details, and obviously, really what I wanted to get out of this is your guys' knowledge base. Let everybody get to know you and understand what you guys are about. And obviously, for getting into this, the call to action up at the top right here is access to Discord. If anybody needs, I'll put the link to the website right there now. And obviously, it's on the actual video, I believe, already. And if not, I'll have it there after the video is done. But basically, you're just coming in here. You mint one of these guys, which is your membership for $50, and again, renewable every year. I guess maybe a good time to talk to what happens once your renewal's up if you don't renew it. I guess just to give everybody that little snippet of information.
So the rewards will still accumulate in your account, and at that point, Saqib and I think it's best that ultimately a community decision be made at that, because it's the community that this is focused for. This is driven for you guys, the community. It's not really for us. But what we're proposing is that whatever that wallet may be that was in their system when they initially set everything up, that the bulk payment just goes to that wallet. Now, we can kind of imagine some scenarios. Let's say I love riding motorcycles, which I used to, and I got in a motorcycle wreck and I've been in a coma for, a year and a half or something like that. So that's something that I think just we in the community should come to a consensus. But what we're proposing is that it just get paid as one lump sum at the end of the tranche, or the closing of the tranche. Now, we may come across a situation, let's say one of the users in our community had a terrible disaster or something like that. And they need to pay medical bills or something like that. So we just kind of like to leave that open-ended. But what we're going to propose is that it gets paid in one lump sum to the wallet. Now, there may be situations where that wallet is no longer accessible. I mean, there could be all kinds of things that could have happened. So we really want to let the community ultimately decide. If they agree with that, we'll go with that. If we agree with something else, we'll go with something else.
Well, and not only that, I guess there will be probably an easy way to tell how many are not outstanding, and hopefully there's not many.
Exactly.
Hopefully people are engaged, and it's limited. But at the same token, I think those numbers will make a difference too on what decision is made. Within reason.
I was going to say a tranche close is not going to happen overnight. So we're going to have to pull machines off. We're going to have to sell them. So there would probably be a 30 to 60 day lead where we would be able to inform everybody. We'd be able to try to contact the people we could contact and just let them know, like, hey, we haven't seen any activity. You haven't renewed your membership. Is there, are you dead? Are you in a coma? Are you in hospice? Like, what can we do?
What's going on?
To help you out with the situation.
Perfect. And then other than that, I guess the biggest thing, guys, is obviously coming into the Discord. If you haven't done so already, there's a link that I have already put in the description of this video to get in there. Or like I said, get it from the website right here. You come in, you mint your membership NFT for $50, and then you buy as many of these as you want with the one membership. I think we already went through that earlier, as well as in my other videos. So, and then I do see, obviously, is there anything you guys want to talk to about? Because I do notice there's a 5% going to animal welfare. Obviously, that must be close to all of yours or some of your hearts.
Yeah, I'm a big softie. I've got lots of pets, and one of the things that I noticed in the UAE, simply a lot of people don't know this, but 90% of the people in the UAE are not locals. They're not native to the area. They're expats. And just one of the unfortunate side effects when that happens is, people who love pets, they get an animal and then they lose their job or they have to move or whatever, and they leave the animal behind. The animal starts to do what animals do and make babies and more babies. And I wouldn't say it's at a crisis level, but it's pretty bad. There needs to be some humane activities that are going on, especially in the area that Sakib and I live. I mean, you throw a stone, you can hit a stray cat. And what I'd like to do is to proactively use that money to help along those humane programs. But also another thing too is what a lot of people don't realize is that Dubai is built from laborers that come from outside of Dubai. And they tend to come from third world or very poor countries. And these are people that are not educated and not really given opportunities in life because of the country and the world that they grew up in. And we know that they're going to be on site 24/7, and watching miners is about as fun as watching paint dry. So what we want to do is we also want to maximize and optimize their time. We want to start creating educational programs with our workers that are on site, that are on these farms, to help educate them, to teach them English as a second language, and to give them computer skills and other skills that could possibly further them in their life or help them provide even better for their families. So we kind of want to do it twofold. Our main focus is going to be on the humanitarian efforts, in both educational and humane efforts with animals.
Awesome. All right. And then other than that, obviously, like I said, I head to the Discord, all that stuff. If anybody has any questions, again, one last little shout out, but we have 10, 20 people in here in and out. So obviously they seem to, you've explained it very well. So that makes it nice and easy. I
really appreciate everybody coming. I mean, ultimately we're here for you and we want to see this work. We want to make this work for you guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then Discord, obviously get in there, ask some questions. That's obviously an easy call to action, and get to know the team even more, do a little bit more research, understand whether this is the investment opportunity or membership opportunity for you to help grow. And like I said, for me, I want somewhere where I can make Bitcoin, where I'm creating it, not buying it. I do DCA, or I want to get into DCAing a little bit, but at the same token, I like being able to create something from nothing. I know I still have to put some money in, but and again, with the idea of Bitcoin being the main guy in town and the one that will appreciate, it's definitely something I want to get involved in. So I will be looking to hopefully get a few more of these NFTs as they go along, and do appreciate your guys' attention to detail and thought process through all of this. Any final words or any things you want to make sure that we maybe didn't touch on yet?
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Yeah, and again, I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming, and thanks for having us on again. And I look forward to seeing where things will go from here. I really
Nice.
do.
No, that's all, and I do too, and I will definitely do some follow-up content as you guys go through your mint. I'd love to, as milestones get hit, or if anything does progress or change, by all means, let me know, and I'm happy to do another video on that. Like I said, I appreciate helping whatever projects I can, especially nowadays we're seem to be getting hit again with a whole lot of projects that are not quite coming to fruition, and it's sad to see, but it's reality in the space. So as much as we can grow something real that has outside revenue that's not being generated by a pump and dump or other investors or all that jazz, if we can create something that's real, brings money into DeFi, then I'm happy to support it wherever I can and try and find solutions for it. So thanks so much, guys. If that's everything, we'll leave it at that for now. As I said, if anybody hasn't seen it already and wants to go through the process of minting, the gas fees were not that much. I think for my final mint, it was like $7 for the actual mint of the $420 NFT. The approvals were like $2-3, and then the membership one, I think it was around that $2-3 as well. But go ahead and check out my video on that if you want to see those on camera, so you can get a better sense. Definitely time yourself. I think with ETH, it is a little bit of a beast, and it can weekends can be cheaper than weekdays sometimes. So don't hesitate to delay your mint. Not that I want to have people delay.
I agree,
NFTs, but yeah. So. Other than that, if there's anything else, we'll go from there. And please don't hesitate to reach out. I also have a Discord, so if you get lost, don't hesitate to come by mine, and we can direct you to Mineopoly. As I've said, I've known Justin for a while now, so I appreciate I appreciate seeing people on screen. That's always great. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. And I'll let you guys say some quick goodbyes.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Just thanks again, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Very much.